What's going on, everyone? Badger here. Sure to like and sub, and let's get into this. The last time I heard from George R.R. Martin, he was actually talking shit about us, the fans, and calling us toxic and how we ruin everything and we can't just enjoy anything anymore. And here he is saying the exact same thing that we've been saying. So I guess maybe enough evidence has mounted. George R.R. Martin blasts Hollywood screenwriters and producers for believing they can improve source material. They make it worse. Yes, we have been saying that for about a decade now. George R.R. Martin bashed Hollywood screenwriters and producers for believing they can improve on source material of standout authors such as Ian Fleming, Stan Lee, J.R.R. Tolkien, and others when they attempt to adapt their stories in film or television. Shocker, yes. In a recent blog post, Martin decried, everywhere you look, there are more screenwriters and producers eager to take great stories and make them their own. It does not seem to matter whether the source material was written by Stan Lee, Charles Dickens, Ian Fleming, Roald Dahl, Ursula K. And all the good authors, yes. No matter how major a writer is, no matter how great the book is, there always seems to be someone on hand who thinks he can do better, eager to take the story and improve on it. That is the entire wheel of time where they thought they knew better. That is the entirety of the Witcher series where they thought they knew better. That is the entirety of the Rings of Power where they thought they knew better. Should we go on? Yeah. He continued, the book is the book. The film is the film. They will tell you as if they were saying something profound. Then they make their own story. They never make it better, though. 999 times out of 1,000, they make it worse. Yes, point to one of these that have been better than the original, that have brought in a new audience that the original couldn't do. You can't point to one. You cannot point to one because there are none. Thankfully, now George at the end finally accepts it. However, he did note that sometimes they do indeed get it right, as he praised recent Shogun adaptation. Once in a while, though, we do get a really good adaptation of a really good book, and when that happens, it deserves applause, I guess. Yeah, okay. Yes, with the addendum of they're apparently doing 2 more seasons that are not the book, which means they're going to make up their own. So get ready for that to be ruined. He later praised, I think the author would have been pleased both old and new screenwriters did honor to the source material and gave us terrific adaptations, resisting the impulse to make it their own. It's not the first time George has made such comments. Back in 2022, Martin, alongside novelist Neil Gaiman, spoke on the subject during an appearance at the New York City's Symphony Space. Martin rhetorically asked, how faithful do you have to be? Some people don't feel that they have to be faithful at all. There's this phrase that goes around, I'm going to make it my own. I hate that phrase. And I think Neil probably hates that phrase too. Gaiman responded, I do. I spent 30 years watching people make Sandman their own. And some of those people haven't read Sandman to make their own. They just flip through a few comics or something. Martin then detailed, there are changes that you have to make or that you're called upon to make that I think are legitimate, and there are other ones that are not legitimate. They detailed Martin called Roger Zelazny adapting The Last Defender of Camelot for the Twilight Zone, and that due to budget constraints, being forced to choose between having horses or an elaborate Stonehenge-esque set for a battle scene, Martin did not want to make the decision, so he left it up to Zelazny, who chose to cut the horses. Martin explained that, to my mind, is the kind of stuff you are called upon to do in Hollywood that is legitimate. He even noted this is why the Iron Throne is not depicted in the show as written in the books. Why is the Iron Throne in the Game of Thrones not the Iron Throne as depicted in the books? Why is it not 15 feet high and made of 10,000 swords? Because the ceiling in our sound stage was not 15 feet high. We couldn't fit it in there. Yeah. No one's saying, and I guess that's what he's again, is that there could be small adaptations when you are adapting it, but they just straight up change it, make it something different. Most of the time, when it really digs down, and this is especially true for the writer's room and the Rings of Power, they didn't really like the source material to begin with, and they always thought they could do better to update it for that modern audience. It's unclear how sincere Martin actually is on this topic, given he only started speaking out on the following the intense dislike of HBO Game of Thrones ending. In fact, Martin has changed his tune, how closely he worked with HBO in adapting the final seasons. In 2019, Martin told The Guardian that the ending he has in his head for the books and what was delivered on the show are not the same thing, although they are very closely related to each other. However, Martin has since attempted to distance himself from the show's ending. In August 2022, he informed the New York Times, by season 5 and 6, and certainly 7 and 8, I was pretty much out of the loop. As for why he seemingly was out of the loop, I don't know. You have to ask Dan and Dave. He also informed the outlet that his ending will be very different. Well, good luck to ever getting his ending, because it's been over 10,000 days. And once he does, and if he does ever release Winds of Winter, there's a whole nother book that you're never going to get, because time, unless he's immortal, which would be very impressive. Anyway, let me know what you think of this. This is what we need, by the way. More creatives coming out and saying, hi, could you stop butchering source material to make it your own and just try to accurately adapt it as possible, which is what Peter Jackson did when they said the only politics they were going to put in Lord of the Rings was Tolkien's politics. So if you're adapting something, the only messaging that should be in your adaptation is the original messaging intent upon by the author, and the original source material. Hashtag source material matters. Let me know what you think of this. Make sure to like, share, and sub. If you have done that, thank you. If you're going to do that, thank you.
Well, bye.